Angel Reese walked into Atlanta's Gateway Center Arena for her home debut with the Atlanta Dream, told everyone she was a star, and then got blocked 3 times by Kiki Iriafen and got owned on the other side of the court by rookie Lauren Betts. 3 times in one game. And the crowd that showed up to see her masterpiece against the Washington Mystics? The arena holds 3,000 people and it still looked half empty. Now there are reports of rumblings in the Atlanta Dream locker room, which we'll get to in a bit. So what exactly is Angel Reese's brand built on? Because it sure isn't winning basketball games. How bad do you think is Angel Reese at basketball? Let me know down in the comments below.
Wants to see if his defense improves, and that 7-2 run is behind.
Oh my!
Ball is blocked into the hand. They've had multiple All-Stars on a team that were rookies.
Okay, work out.
Since the
Work out.
1999 season for the
Oh my
We've
goodness!
been talking about the big on bigs inside, and Iriafen tired of getting it. Angel Reese on the inside, double team. Still.
Terrible hoops. Horrible hoops.
So May 3rd was supposed to be Angel Reese's moment. Her first home game with the Atlanta Dream. Her coming out party in a new city in front of her so-called fans. The game where she'd prove Atlanta was right to trade for her and that Chicago made a mistake letting her go. That was the story she was selling anyway. And on paper, the setup couldn't have been more perfect for her. The Dream brought out a full roster. The Washington Mystics, meanwhile, sat out Shakira Austin, their only real veteran, and rolled into Atlanta leaning almost entirely on rookies and second-year players. This was supposed to be an easy layup, and it turned out as bad as Reese's missed layups.
And that speaks exactly to both what you were saying and Tanisha Batiste was telling us coming back from the break. Carl Smesko wants to see if his defense improves, and that 7-2 run is behind the defense. And she also, again, added this to her bag.
Atlanta lost by 11. Not by 2 on a last-second shot, not by 6 in a game that felt close the whole way. 11 points, at home, against a Mystics team that was running basically on youth and confidence and not much else. Coach Carl Smesko admitted after the game that the ball got stuck quite a few times, and Atlanta kept ending up with empty possessions. He also tried to say there will be some changes in the lineup, which, given everything that actually happened on the court, was a generous read on a rough night. Let's talk about what Reese's stat line actually looked like, because it's worth going through. She missed layups that most players convert in warm-ups. She ran straight through Georgia Amoore and picked up a foul that killed a possession.
Because we have seen this time and time again in the league.
And did we count the preseason for?
She spent chunks of the fourth quarter at the ref's elbow, complaining, while the Mystics pushed the ball up the other end. And the shooting percentage she finished with would embarrass a player in a noon pickup run at the local rec center.
The foul on this take.
And again, we talk about finding the answer for Lauren Betts, but that's a good job.
3 of her attempts didn't just miss. They got sent back by Kiki Iriafen, who blocked her not once, not twice, but 3 separate times in the same game. Each block was more emphatic than the one before it, and the clips started circulating online within hours because honestly, each one was its own little moment. After one of them, Reese stared Iriafen down and started sarcastically clapping, which, if you're getting blocked for the 3rd time in one game, is a bold choice of response. Fans noticed. One even pointed out that there's a real rivalry building between the two that nobody's been talking about enough. And after watching those clips, it's hard to argue.
It's one to position her body, put the ball on the to go in.
8 on the shot clock. An inside touch to Lauren Betts, standing at 7 and able to finish over the outstretched hands.
Bruin on Bruin violence.
Lauren out of Ole Miss, spent her first 3 seasons out of Ohio State. One of the 3 players that were picked for the Mystics in the first round in the draft, as Lauren Betts with another bucket.
That's going to be a problem. We're seeing
Pulls up, top of the key, in and out. Iriafen with a rebound and a quick dish to Betts.
Then there's rookie Lauren Betts, who led the UCLA Bruins to a national championship recently, and who just did whatever she wanted in the paint all night long against Reese. Betts finished with 17 points and Reese couldn't stay in front of her, couldn't contest without fouling, and couldn't punish her for taking risks on defense because Reese wasn't converting on her own end anyway. Betts was the most dominant player on the floor, and she's in her first year in the league.
Angel Reese, 9 for Lauren Betts. They're guarding one another. Kiki Iriafen in on the action and kisses the
Timing chemistry with Ryan Howard.
backdoor. Olsen finishes.
But season up till today, that three has been smooth.
6 points as Lauren Betts. The midi is good. Michaela Onuede and Shakira Austin out. Lauren Betts with the touch on the block. And she is making Lauren Betts got Indian Navarre in the air and
Picture this. Gateway Center Arena holds 3,000 people. That's it, 3,000. It's a small venue by any professional sports standard, and it still looked half empty on Reese's home debut night. Not half full, half empty. A player with brand deals stacked up, a media presence big enough that you'd think she runs the league, couldn't draw a full house to a building that a sold-out high school playoff game would pack without blinking. The Mystics won because their young players outworked and out-executed a dream team that was supposed to be the more experienced group, and the player Atlanta gave up real assets to acquire finished, as the story of the game for all the wrong reasons. Smeško's carefully worded post-game comments about lineup experimentation and developing options off the bench didn't exactly scream confidence in his roster as currently constructed. Now there are reports of rumblings in the Atlanta Dream locker room, which we'll get to in a bit. And none of this, not one piece of it, came as a shock to anyone who'd watched Reese play 4 days earlier.
and she drains 2 and blows a kiss to the crowd.
Stepping in right here, who does the right job of trying to take the charge. But Iriafen sidesteps it at the last second and gets the and one, and that's just a player with reps under her.
April 29th in Chicago was supposed to be Angel Reese's revenge game. She left the Sky or got pushed out depending on who you believe. And the story she kept telling anyone who'd listen was that Chicago made a huge mistake trading her away. So she showed up to her old gym with something to prove, and before tip-off she told people she was going to drop 50 points. 50 in a WNBA game. Against the team that drafted her, developed her, and then packaged her up for future picks.
Angel Reese, preseason basketball, we're back, baby. 3 ball, you want some? Come get some. Bang! I heard she got traded for a used jockstrap and a dirty diaper. New team, same layup package. Bang! How about them eyeballs? You know what they say? Free throws ain't free. How about it? Bang! They say second time's a charm. Bang! No, it's not. How about the third time? Bang! Fine, the 4th one will go in. Flick that wrist, spin that ball, wiggity, wiggity, bang!
She finished with 8 points on 2 for 7 shooting. That's 29% from the field, in 13 minutes, in the game she hyped as her defining moment. The Dream did win 87-78, so her supporters grabbed onto that result like a life raft. But let's be honest about who actually carried Atlanta that night, because it wasn't Reese. Her teammates handled the offensive load while she bricked shots and collected some of the rebounds those bricks created, which, as we'll get into in a minute, tells you a lot about what her rebounding numbers actually mean. One account online put it pretty bluntly, describing her overall impact as somewhere between minimal and decorative. And honestly, that's not far off for a player who promised 50 and delivered 8.
Oh yeah, favorite possession right here. Jam! Nah, not ready, not ready. Hands a little slippery. Had too much popcorn with butter. Butter? Butter pecan!
How many times I gotta tell you, only 3 things in life are certain. Death, taxes,
And Angel Reese smoking lamps, baby. Give me all that. Burn!
But the shooting wasn't even the funniest part of the Chicago game. Reese held a press conference where she laughed at the Sky, dismissed them, acted like Chicago was already ancient history, and she was on to bigger and better things. She was cracking jokes about a franchise she spent 2 years with while shooting 29% against them. Camila Cardozo, the player the Sky specifically traded Reese to build around, blocked her during the game. So Reese was out there getting blocked by the player who replaced her, laughing at the organization that replaced her while going 2 for 7 from the field. And here's what makes that press conference age terribly fast. Chicago, after Reese left, signed Skylar Diggins-Smith, Dejanai Carrington, and Azura Stevens, and traded for Ricky Jackson. All of them chose Chicago after Reese was gone. Not before. The league spent 2 years saying nobody wanted to play in Chicago, and then within weeks of the trade, the Sky turned into one of the more attractive rosters in the league. Reese was laughing at a team that was quietly becoming exactly what it couldn't be while she was there, and 4 days later she walked into her Atlanta home debut and got blocked 3 times. Let's talk about the rebounding numbers, because this is where the whole star argument starts to crack open. Reese put up big rebound totals in both her Chicago seasons, and that's real. Those numbers were in every box score and every highlight package that tried to make the case. She's an elite player, but Chicago missed the playoffs both years she was there. In her first season, the Sky finished 13-27, and in her second year, they dropped to 10-34. The record didn't plateau. It got worse while she was the centerpiece of the whole operation.
I think this is fantastic for Atlanta, for visibility. I meant it when I said Atlanta's going to be lit, not just on the court, but off the court. They do a great job at the Gateway Center of selling out tickets, but they're going to be able to move games to State Farm Arena where the Hawks play now because of the Angel Reese effect.
The what? Come again? The Angel Reese effect? What in the hell is the Angel Reese effect?
So where were all those rebounds coming from? A big chunk of them came off her own misses. When a player shoots a low percentage inside the paint, bricks layups, and then grabs the ball back, that counts as a rebound in the box score, but it's not the same thing as a defensive board that ends a possession or an offensive rebound off a teammate's miss that creates a second chance for somebody else. It's recovering from your own error and letting the stat sheet call it production. The numbers looked good. The wins didn't follow, and they never did. Now look at what Caitlin Clark did in those exact same 2 years. Clark arrived in Indiana, and the Fever started winning. Then they won more. The Fever went from one of the worst records in the league to a playoff team, drawing sellout crowds, attracting players who wanted to be part of what was building there. Clark talks to media after games. Clark holds herself accountable when shots don't fall. Clark plays in arenas where people are actually standing in line to get inside, not venues with 3,000 seats that still can't turn away empty rows. Meanwhile, Reese's teams kept losing, and her response to a press conference was apparently optional.
The truth is, Angel Reese has never been a star basketball player. I'm not saying she's the drizzling shits, but Angel Reese has never been a star, and she has never been a winner in her brief WNBA career. Angel Reese is the queen of empty stats. She's one of the best players in the league in garbage time. When the Chicago Bravado were down 30 points with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Angel Reese knows it's time to clock in and start dominating.
Chicago is moving fast now, and the direction they're moving is up. Skylar Diggins-Smith, Dejanai Carrington, Azura Stevens, Ricky Jackson, all of them chose Chicago after Reese left. Not while she was there after. These aren't fringe players either. Diggins-Smith is a multiple-time All-Star. Carrington's one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. Jackson averaged over 18 points per game in college and came into the WNBA with real buzz. All of them looked at Chicago and decided it was somewhere they wanted to play, and none of them made that call while Reese was still in the building. The league spent 2 full years repeating the story that nobody wanted to go to Chicago, and then the roster flipped almost immediately after the trade. You can draw your own conclusions about why the timing worked out that way. Atlanta is now betting Reese can do in Georgia what she couldn't do in Illinois, and 2 preseason games with 1 home loss to a roster full of rookies is the evidence they're working with so far.
This is going to get real ugly for you-know-who. Get out. Get out. She got all kinds of ball on Angel Reese, but that wasn't even the worst one. Angel ended up getting all up in her feelings here. Oh, she gets mad. Oh, yeah, you got the shit blocked out of you. I mean, come on.
The criticism of Angel Reese right now isn't coming from opposing fans or media people grinding out hot takes. It's coming from inside the Atlanta Dream's own locker room, and it started at her introductory press conference before she'd even played a single game in an Atlanta uniform. Coach Carl Smesko spent his post-game comments after the Mystics' loss talking about lineup experimentation, developing bench options, and building a system around space and movement. That's polite coach language, but it's also exactly what a coach says when he's not convinced his most prominent player fits what he's trying to run. 2 games into a season, after a loss to a rookie-heavy roster, and Smesko's already publicly floating the idea of adjusting his rotation. The player most likely to see her minutes evaluated is the one her own teammates were already roasting at her welcome party.
Question actually for everyone but Angel. How would you guys, no offense, how would you guys describe what it was like playing against her the last 2 years?
I mean, anytime Angel's been on the other side of the court, I think I've had about 30.
Ryan Howard, one of Atlanta's best players, pulled up at that introductory press conference and delivered what might be the coldest line any teammate has ever said about another teammate at a welcome event. She said, "Anytime Angel's been on the other side of the court, I think I've had about 30. Read that slowly. Howard's saying that every time she faced Reese in practice or in a game, she scored 30 points because guarding anyone is apparently optional for Reese. And Howard said it with a smile, on camera, at the press conference meant to celebrate Reese joining the team. That's not trash talk between rivals. That's a teammate telling you exactly what she thinks of your defense before the season even tips off.
Angel's annoying as hell.
Naz Hillman didn't dress it up at all. Her exact words were "Angel's annoying as hell," and she said it straight, no hesitation. Not difficult, not challenging to play with, annoying. That word choice means something specific, and it doesn't come from a place of admiration.
I text Angel, and I was like, I ain't gonna lie, last year, I love playing against Chicago because I had my best games.
Then there's Alicia Gray, who told Reese directly on camera, "I ain't gonna lie, last year I loved playing against Chicago because I had my best games." Gray's now supposed to be winning a championship alongside Reese. Instead, she's admitting that the team Reese just left was basically a career night generator for her, which means Reese's presence on that Chicago roster made Gray's job easier, not harder. So picture what Atlanta's locker room actually looks like right now. Howard's scoring freely against Reese in practice and broadcasting it. Hillman finds her annoying. Gray's best offensive performances came against Reese's old team. And Smesko's already talking about lineup experiments 2 games in. Atlanta traded real assets to bring Reese in and pair her with Howard and Gray. And what they've got instead is a roster that's openly telling you, in their own words, exactly what Reese contributes to a team environment. None of those words are winning, and none of them are defense. And the Mystics' win on Sunday night in May looked exactly like what you'd expect from a locker room that's already this fractured.
So the Atlanta Dream teammates basically said, we were able to do anything we wanted at absolute will. We became Jedis on the court against the Chicago Sky. We just thought about cooking their ass. Shit started roasting on the court. We started cooking ribs and chicken right there on the court.
The word star gets thrown around a lot when people talk about Angel Reese, and mostly it's Reese herself doing the throwing. So let's get specific about what a star actually does and where Reese lands when you measure her against that honestly. A star makes her team better. A star fills seats. A star shows up when it matters, not just in the rebounding column of a box score after an 11-point home loss to a bunch of rookies. And when a star has a bad night, she doesn't spend the fourth quarter badgering refs while her team bleeds points, and she doesn't laugh at her old organization at a press conference while shooting 29% against them. That's not star behavior. That's someone leaning hard on a reputation that the actual games keep contradicting.
Take a look at all the empty seats. Watch for yourself.
Angel Reese was shooting the three and way in the passing lane, forces a turnover, calls her own number.
That was highly indirect. She fouled out of the
Angel Reese doing
some on the defensive glass.
Opportunity to return home to Chicago, and now this league in year well. Blocked the Angel with the rebound.
Caitlin Clark shows up to talk to reporters after every game, wins and losses, good nights and ugly ones, because that's part of what building something in a league actually looks like. Reese has publicly admitted she'd rather pay the fine than face the media, and she even skipped pre-game availability before the Chicago game, the game she'd been hyping for weeks as her big revenge moment. Clark plays in front of packed arenas and the Fever. Keep winning more games every year she's been there. Free agents want to join Indiana. Players around Clark get better because of the spacing and attention she creates just by being on the floor. That's a star. The results follow the player. Reese plays in a 3,000-seat gym that still can't sell out. Her teams got worse each year she was in Chicago. Her own Atlanta teammates are already on record saying her defense is basically non-existent and that she's annoying to share a locker room with, and her home debut ended with Kiki Iriafen swatting her 3 times and Lauren Betts doing whatever she wanted in the paint.
Last weekend, Caitlin Clark was in New York City to play the New York Lesbians. Over 14,000 people paid to see the Great White Hope. If I remember correctly, another 700,000 watched Caitlin Clark on TV. Unfortunately for Angel Reese, the citizens of Chicago, they were not the only ones who were unwilling to welcome her home. Her former teammate, Camila Cardosa, she welcomed Angel Reese home by dominating the queen of stat padding on the court.
The karma piece isn't subtle at all. Reese laughed at Chicago 4 days before getting embarrassed in her own building, and Chicago responded by quietly becoming one of the better roster constructions in the league, built specifically around the player they traded Reese to make room for. The roughly 1,500 fans who showed up to Gateway Center Arena on May 3rd watched all of this live. 2 games into her Atlanta career, the story Reese keeps telling about herself and the story the scoreboard keeps telling are nowhere near each other. Her brand says star. Her box scores say she's rebounding her own misses. Her teammates say she's annoying. And her coach is already talking about lineup experiments with the season barely started. How bad do you think is Angel Reese at basketball? Let me know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.